was a day they were teaching on resistance. I requested that can they show a demonstration, because children learn in different ways. There are those who will just hear you and they are cool with it. There are those who will require touch. There are those who will learn 3 dimensions. So I would say, can they put all those in place while they are providing this virtual learning? Like I said, it's not completely bad, but it can get better.
Would you allow your children resume school immediately once the government reopens them?
I would have observed that there are measures that have been put in place, guidelines have been followed, and once I know that those guidelines have been followed, and we all see that it's safe enough for our children to go into schools, I think it will be worth it. But like for me, I'm looking at government leveraging other platforms like providing laptops, providing incentives like laptop for these children to actually learn virtually. I remember we were collecting phones from schools, from students. Now schools are now on phone. So what does that tell us? Can we leverage the new technology that is coming up and provide virtual learning for our children? So beyond safety, let's look at other forms so they don't have to stay all through. Like a quick question, can the teachers wear this all through class and not feel uncomfortable? If I wear my glasses like you are wearing, for instance, the heat from here goes into the glasses, I'm not able to read. So what if there are teachers who are doing that? Then for children with disabilities, like for the blind, they are prone to being guided if they are not with their guide canes. So you find out that there's a whole lot of work, but let's look at what has been happening that are quick wins that we can begin to leverage on. Would I allow them? It's based on these guidelines, if all these things have been put in place.
Yes, ma'am. But how would you rate the virtual learning so far? Would you say it has been effective?
I would say they have provided something we didn't have before. So, but for effectiveness, I have seen the teachers begin to improve. Unlike when they started, it was new to almost all of some of them, and it was becoming like, but now it's a new normal. So I've observed a little bit of improvement in terms of the delivery, but I think there's so much work to still be done. Like there was a day they were teaching on resistance. I requested that can they show a demonstration, because children learn in different ways. There are those who will just hear you and they are cool with it. There are those who will require touch. There are those who will learn 3 dimensions. So I would say, can they put all those in place while they are providing this virtual learning? Like I said, it's not completely bad, but it can get better.
So if the government were to educate teachers more on virtual learning, what areas do you think they should look into?
Presentation skills. Being able to present what they know. These teachers, some of them are practical based. They know them. But there's a difference between knowing how to do something and being able to teach somebody and hold somebody through that learning process. So for me, presentation skills, how do they facilitate? Because I have a belief that no student is a non-entity or cannot learn. It is you, the teacher, or me, the parent, or you, the aunties or mommies, that should teach in the way that that child can learn. So you have to learn how to teach the way that child can learn. So I think presentation skills, the use of different apps or development of apps for them. I can decide to say I want to teach maths, for instance, and there's a particular way I teach maths or English. I can be taught to develop the app that can teach in the way I want to teach. Then a lot of understanding. As teachers, they are taught how students learn. So it's just to beef up and also let them know that it is the new normal. If they know that they are part of a bigger thing, a global vision, I think they will put in the effort to be able to see how this can work. It's a learning process. I think to a large extent, let's applaud the teachers that have taken the plunge. But most importantly, I want to use this medium to plead for the telecoms people. The data, you know, we had a virtual summit for scholars on Children's Day. And one of the panelists, it was all children on Zoom. One of the panelists said, every day NCDC sends our parents, sends us text. Can they send us MB? As they are sending that messages, we love the message. I have the audio of what that child said. And so I think these are the things that we should begin to look at. We are not yet there, but we are not where we used to be.
Yes, ma'am. So in what way should parents orientate their children before school resumes?
God bless you for that, because for parents, how do they orientate their children? Even parents gonna need orientation, because the children are already saying, when is this holiday going to be over? So I want to salute parents that have been, over time, have been able to find words to tell their children till now. But I think also letting the children face the brutal fact that there's a pandemic situation that is before us, and that educating them, providing resources for these children to see, maybe play short videos and show them what the pandemic is all about. They can even link it up to things that the children are familiar with, like malaria. And say there was a time malaria was like this COVID now. So they are able to look at it and say, like malaria, it will not go, but we prevent it by keeping our environment clean, by not allowing water to reside somewhere so that mosquitoes can breed there, by fleeting, you know, provide all those kinds, just like do the 5, and let the children know that this is it. So when schools resume, we begin to tell if school, by the time our schools resume, we also provide, as we hear, as they are also guided as parents, they can also guide their children equally. So I feel it's a win-win once parents are orientated, and we can also let the parents know that they can step down whatever we are hearing, either from NCDC or WHO, in ways that their children will understand, age appropriate. There's no point, they're already traumatized. Let's not add to what is going on inside of them.
Yes, ma'am. So it's been 1 year that Governor Sanwo-Olu has been in office. How would you rate his tenure so far?
Well, the pandemic has also brought a different feel of who we knew when he came into office. So what it means is that it's still work in progress, like I said, but he was able to brace up, particularly at this pandemic level. But there's so much more to be done. There are so many sectors to still look at, and I think he's a governor that is open-hearted and is ready to learn and get better. So I won't completely say, like I've been saying earlier, it's work in progress, and we are praying for him, even as citizens in Lagos, as people of Nigeria. We owe it as our duty to pray for those in leadership. So they are not outsourced, they are also from here. So I trust that his tenure will continue to be a value-added one until he leaves, or he continues his stay, or whatever person's take over. So we wish him well, and we say the well done means more work, and we trust that the grace to be able to do this more work qualitatively without leaving anybody behind, because the UN says leave no one behind, and including everyone, so that we have an inclusive Lagos, a greater Lagos, and a thriving Lagos, and that is healthy. Okay.